I'm just here and I'm trying to do the best I can and make the world a better place if I can do it. That's what I'm hoping for. My name is Ianne Fields Stewart. I use they, them, she, her pronouns, and I am a Black, queer, non-binary, trans-feminine storyteller working at the intersection of theater and activism. That's my little tagline. I'm also the founder of the Okra Project. We are an organization that hires Black trans chefs to cook home-cooked and healthy meals for Black trans people and either cook it in their home or bring it to them wherever they are if they are experiencing homelessness. I started this about a year ago. In December we'll be coming up on our 1-year anniversary, so I'm really proud of this organization. I'm 205 till I die, Birmingham, Alabama. I was born in Georgetown, Kentucky, so I can't say that I was born in Birmingham, but I lived there since I was 3 years old, so that's definitely home for me. I'm definitely a true Deep Southern girl. Being from the Deep South is always something that's been very important to me to talk about and advocate for. The first time that I gave name to something, because I think that there's what happens before we give name to who we are, and that's also part of the knowing and the coming into and the understanding, and then there's when we give name to it. But I think the first time that I gave name to it was when I was in 10th grade, actually. And that was the first sort of like queer nomer that I attached to myself was bisexual. And that just came from a dream. And I just had a dream about a very beautiful Black man who was in our class. And I had a dream that I was in our theater at ASFA and he was holding me, and it was the first time that I experienced intimacy. And by that point, I knew that, you know, through my own sexual exploration, I knew that I was attracted to both bodies, but I identified as a man-hating feminist. I knew that I could never love a man, and I always knew that it was about love. You know, I was always supportive of the LGBTQ community until I realized, oh, I am actually a part of this community. And I felt a necessity to be an advocate because I had grown up being tortured for being something that I didn't think I was. And so when I found a name for it, it was on my own terms. It was a term that felt good to me. And so I think that moment is different than all of the moments that happened before that now I can look back on and say, oh, here was the first signs of queerness, right? But I think the first time that I gave name to it was definitely in like 10th grade. And I've sort of labeled that as the time period. It might have been 9th grade, not sure. I'd have to go back and look at like what shows we were doing. My best friend, Esther. That was not her name at the time, but she's since moved to Israel and has a new name, and it's beautiful and perfect. We were rehearsing for A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I just, during stretches, I was just like, hey, Esther, and bye. She's like, cool. And that was it. There haven't really been too many like coming out moments. It's so funny. I really just don't have too many like narratives of like, oh, I came out in this way and here were the reactions. A lot of it was just like, I think that there's always like the pressure that comes around it where people are making assumptions and I'm hearing their assumptions and it's always that I'm like, you ain't gonna tell me who I am. I know who I am. And I don't need to fulfill any of your narratives. Bye. And then it's usually when they finally just accept who I am that I then sort of, which is not intentional, but I think it just seems to kind of play out this way. That I'm just like, I'm not going to make myself into anything that you think I am. I will only make myself into who I really am. And so then it's usually around that time when I just like kind of have the chance to sit back and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool for me. I'll resonate with that, you know, and it's very casual. And then it just starts, you know, the word spreads as it does. I think when I named my transness, like actually Esther was also the first person that I wore high heels with. So she was also the first person that I like started my journey of gender nonconformity with. Come to think of this, Esther's been there for a lot of the big stuff. I think the most pressing issue that we are facing as LGBTQ people is being LGBTQIA+. Our letters are forced together. Our communities are forced together. And I think that part of that force is dangerous. I think that we have to celebrate what makes us different and unify around the idea that what makes us different is necessary to talk about. There is no liberation for queer people if white gay cis men are consistently voting for gay marriage and that's it. If you are a queer person, you are not horrified and talking actively about the deaths of Black trans women, there is no purpose to anything that we have done. None of it. Because we have claimed, we have been forced together, yes, we've also claimed it. And we've created pride all around it. And so if you're going to claim that pride, you have to be proud of all of us. And you have to be protective of all of us. And I think that that is the biggest thing that we are struggling with at this point, is that there are white cis gay men who are running the world as if they are straight white cis men. That is a necessity to talk about. And those same cis white gay men have to be willing to hear that. They have to be willing to be held accountable. They have to be willing to do their own racial justice work and the undoing of their own work. And they can't rely on Black people to undo it for them. Black trans people, and Black trans women specifically, but my community gives me the most hope. I feel so proud of who we are and how we survive. I feel discouraged by what continues to happen to us, but to see the joy on the faces of my sisters, brothers, and siblings is all that I ever really need. To know that there is something worth it. And I think in many ways that is what hope is. It's a thing that is worth it. I really love myself, I'm gonna be honest, I really do. I love my confidence, I love my new boobies, I love my ass, I love my legs, I love my mind, I love my nails, I love my skin, I love my hair, I love my lips, I love the way that I can feel so deeply. I love my tears, I love my past, and I love my present, and I love my future. I just love everything about me. I really do, which is a great thing that I've earned. And there are lots of times that my mind is not as kind to this body and this being that I love. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, knowing that sometimes my mind fights me in ways that I wasn't ready for, or in ways that don't feel good to me. And there are people who are close to me who see when my mind fights with me. But I think that at the end of the day, if I'm honest with myself, outside of what my mind sometimes tells me, I really do love everything about me. I love Ianne. I worked hard for her, and she's not going anywhere.